We spent most of the time just looking at the responsibilities for these rights, and we were saying that everyone has the responsibility to apply them, and we didn't really want to set, this is the responsibility to keep this right, this is the responsibility to keep that right, because we wanted to develop them as a class, because you just have an endless list of responsibilities and everyone can interpret the way to keep a right differently. So we thought that we'd display them in the classrooms and in the schoolyard. We needed to make school values to refer to the rights, because our school doesn't actually currently have any values. And we must exemplify what it means to be personally and socially or communally responsible. So it's not just about doing the right thing, it's about encouraging others to do it as well. So some examples that we talked about, we did write a big list just to give some ideas, but we won't actually post them up around the school. But parents need to be able to present their concerns in a non-threatening manner. So staff are responsible for listening and responding appropriately. Students need to expect the teacher to deal with certain situations as part of the group, although they have the responsibility to respond before it gets to that. So that's about the communal responsibility. And the teacher then doesn't lose that legitimate power, I suppose. They just have another role as well. What we just wanted to highlight was it's the responsibility of everyone to address inappropriate behaviours, and that's not just of the students, because teachers can be inappropriate, parents can definitely be inappropriate, and we need to have that accountability. We need to have teachers going up to other teachers and saying, I don't think your actions were responsible today, I don't think you kept that right, and things like that. And that's one of the big issues at our school, is that no one is brave enough, I suppose, to go up to another staff member. We can do it with the kids, but we can't do it with other staff members. I know when I had the whooping cough, I was away and I had year 12s right before exams, and my extras weren't covered, and I was furious. I was at home sick, I couldn't come out in public because I was highly contagious, and I was stressed for the exams and no one covered my extras, and I should have probably gone up to the staff member when I came back and said, look, I don't think that was fair, you had the right to, my kids had the right to learn, you weren't being responsible in that. But I didn't, because I was scared to, so it can happen. But I suppose if the communication is open and everyone is doing it, then it becomes more of a culture, and you don't have to get offended by someone coming up to you and telling you your actions probably aren't inappropriate. You should take it on board, and it's for the best for everyone. So how it applies to the learning environment: where possible, staff will attempt to engage and cater for individual students. So a big thing at our school has been the individualised learning plans. I know Dawn has had a lot to do with that. So when kids are disengaged next year, one of our priorities is giving that individualised learning plan. Work must be sufficiently relevant and doable and not threatening to provoke kids into acting out, because a lot of the kids, especially in my first year, I had some Year 9 boys who didn't even know how to read, and I didn't know that, so I put work in front of them. They found that threatening, so they didn't want to do it. They acted out, and I didn't realise that was the reason for it. So if students are isolated, it's our responsibility to find out their interests and learning styles. So we are a Prep to 12 school. Raymond gave us some great ideas about if a kid loves dinosaurs, make sure you put a dinosaur on the top of his page and things like that, just so that the work is less threatening. Because the relationship with the student is so critical, the teacher who had the issue must respond. So this is a key factor again, because as a coordinator, I get kids thrown into my office all the time, deal with them, they've been inappropriate. The kid goes back into that classroom and the same issue happens. And by the end of the year, I've developed a great relationship with this child, and they thank me for helping them. They talk about their issues openly, and then they just complain about their teacher because they haven't repaired that relationship with their teacher. We didn't really have a consistent behaviour management plan at our school, so Raymond gave us some ideas about having 2 intermediate steps before exiting the student. So warning is necessary. There should be positive feedback about socially acceptable behaviour. Don't leave the students to create chaos, as then others can't learn. So again, it's that responsibility to do the right thing, step up and exit the child. But it's not just exiting, because if you walk around our school, often you'll see kids in the corridors walking around, oh, I've got kicked out of class today. So it's about not just get out of my classroom, I can't deal with you, it's having a process to deal with the exited student. And again, just some of those things that's typical of Raymond's work, welcome them back into the other class, state the problem, etc. Also, immediate exit is permitted, obviously, if they're feeling unsafe or threatening the safety. So we thought, is this too radical? Is our staff going to adopt it? Like we've said, like Dawn said in the past, she's presented, we've had some great PDs and everyone gets enthusiastic, but then they go off and do their own thing and they don't take it into consideration. But we did talk to a lot of colleagues. We didn't have a formal staff meeting. It was just our PLT that met with Ray. And we found it really quite responsive in our little groups of people that we communicated with. And we did start using the rights and responsibilities in our classrooms, but the entire school hasn't done it yet. We are implementing all of this stuff next year as a part of the student engagement policy. It was great because the kids were understanding why their behaviour was inappropriate, rather than simply just saying to them, your behaviour is unacceptable, and they don't really understand sometimes. Simple principle, if the student interferes with learning, they're out. Most of the reason that they're being silly is to get attention, so it's an effective method just getting them away from that crowd that's giving them the positive reinforcement of their inappropriate behaviour. We're also going to be taking into account a lot of restorative practices, and staff are going to have a full PD. We had a short one recently, but next year we're going to get the scripts out and really learn how to welcome that student back into the class and restore the relationship that's been broken. So we've had 2 PDs recently. So Ray Daniels from Keysborough College came out. Sorry, my voice is going. Can I grab some water? And their school's recently employing some strategies around these developmental management philosophies. And basically they're saying that they're refraining from counterproductive behaviours, so that's your sarcasm, your group punishments, etc. Preventing misbehaviour, reminding of appropriate behaviour, warning and offering a choice, isolate within the classroom, exit, meet with the exited students. So this was the first time that the staff really got to see what a possible strategy would look like, and they were quite responsive to it. Then we had John Roberts and Ben come out from the student wellbeing team at NMR, and they talked to us a little bit about restorative practice. And we had the school leadership kids there, and they really cottoned onto it, and they liked the idea of it, and relationships were a key issue with them as well. So I'm sure most of you know a little bit about that. A couple of weeks ago we had a student forum to get some insight and feedback into what the kids are thinking. So our student opinion data isn't great, and saying that males are feeling extremely unsafe at school compared to females, and about 50% of females are feeling safe. So that's much, much less than that of males are feeling safe at school. If you walk around the grounds, you wouldn't really realise that. There's not fights happening everywhere. Most kids are smiling and playing around and doing things. So we wanted some qualitative data from that, so we asked the kids to maybe explain why they thought that was so. And they came up with that there are more fights for males. There's bullying, there's intimidation. You've got a lot of the alpha males around school that walk around in their white sneakers and hats on and, you know, just kind of exert their presence and make people feel a little bit threatened. They don't express their feelings and they don't resolve their issues. Second data feedback that we had was that females are not feeling motivated or confident in their learning or connected to the school. And the kids said that they thought it was because there's more judgment by their peers, more verbal abuse, more socially focused, tech subjects don't appeal to the females, the work is boring, boys get more encouragement because they're more likely to behave badly, so the girls are feeling generally left out. Males are finding learning more stimulating than females, so that's because they thought that it was because there's more hands-on subjects. Girls are expected to do better, so again they get less attention. Males experience significantly more distress than females. They're scared to do well because they get picked on by their peers. So that's a culture that our school wants to change, is that learning is actually a good thing and that it's good to achieve high and do your best, because at the moment people are getting picked on for doing that.